Afternoon, team. How are we all? Greetings, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm not sure if we've got anyone out of the UK in the group yet. Actually, could you pop in the comments where you actually live? So I know there's quite a few local people to me, obviously because everyone knows me locally as the Facebook ads queen. There's quite a few people that I've worked with in the past in the group. So it would be nice to know where the people that don't know are actually from. So I thought I would pop in because I realised after I did my live stream the other day, I forgot to talk about targeting, which is quite probably reasonably important. Now, at one time, your Facebook ads targeting was the be all and end all of having a successful campaign. That ain't the case anymore. So a lot of people used to probably say, oh, if your ads failed, it's down to your targeting, targeting the correct audience, blah, 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 blah. But Facebook's algorithm has improved dramatically over the last few years. So I would say probably post iOS 14, they had to make a lot of U-turns. They are removing a lot of interest targeting. So I think they've removed quite a lot of things like with medical terminology. So say you were a personal trainer who only worked with people with diabetes, for instance, you can't really target any diabetes related groups or interests anymore because Facebook's slowly deprecating the interests. So I do think, just my view on targeting, that they'll disappear completely over the next few years. But that's just my, I may be right, I may be wrong. So let's talk targeting. So a few different ways you can target. So if you've got a lot of pixel data in your Facebook ads account, you can probably get away with broad targeting. So for instance, I've got a client who has an e-commerce brand. He sells big garden machines. I talked about him on the live stream on the last one. So he's got a lot of pixel data because he's been in business a long time and they've ran Facebook ads for years. So when I took over the account, there was years worth of pixel data, websites, video views, Facebook engagement. So if you've got a lot of pixel data in your ads account, you can get away with just broad targeting. So what is that, Claire? So basically, all you're going to do is when you set your targeting up, when you set your ad campaign up, all you're going to say to Facebook is, I would like to target anyone who is aged 25 to 55 in the United Kingdom, male or female, dependent on your product or service, obviously. So you might have something that you only target women with, so you would split that down to women only. So like I said, if you've got a lot of pixel data and you've got a reasonable budget, which I know a lot of you don't have that at the moment, you can get away with just targeting to broad. Okay. Another way you can do it is what I like to do if you've got a smallish to medium budget is borrow somebody else's audience. What the hell is that, Claire? So basically, who is your biggest competitor? Who do you aspire to be? So I love Amy Porterfield, and I know that's an interest targeting on Facebook. Amy Porterfield has my ideal clients in there. So Amy Porterfield, if you don't know her, she's a big digital marketing guru. She's a Facebook ads expert, email marketing specialist, Pinterest ads expert. So she's kind of very top of the chain in digital marketing. So she has a massive following. So if I run ads to my business and I target people who are interested in Amy Porterfield, age 25 to 60, most of my clients are not young millennials, they're full of TikTokers, male and female, I get a lot of interaction, I get a lot of return on investment because I've got the same target audience as Amy. I could also target John Loomer, who is probably my hero in Facebook ads. If you don't know John, he is a big Facebook ads expert. He is the god of Facebook ads. He's the only person that I follow to find out what's going on in the world of Facebook. So a lot of my teachings will come from what I've learned from John's teachings. He's who I learned Facebook ads off back 10 years ago when I first started my business, so I can jump on John Luma's audience if it's in Facebook interest targeting. So have a think, who is big in your niche? So say Dan, I don't know if he's listening, he said he was going to listen in on the trainings. So Dan has two sort of distinct target markets. He runs parties for cocktail making. So I would say Dan's audience are predominantly females who have parties with their friends and they do some cocktail making lessons. So Dan would need to narrow his targeting down quite a bit because it's quite a niche product. So Dan couldn't jump on, well, who's big in cocktails, because it's not his target market. So for Dan, because he is local, he would need to narrow his targeting down to a geographical location. So it would be, I know Dan's in Concert in, what's that classed as? Is that classed as Northumberland? I can't remember. Was it classed as, no, it's Durham, isn't it? So he would need to drop a pin on the map when you set up your targeting. There's a map to geographical area, so he would need to drop a pin into Concert, then make a geographical circle by how far out he wants to reach. So say he booked parties where I live, so I probably live about 10 miles away, so it would be Concert, the pin plus 10 kilometres. Now I do go into all of this in a lot more detail on my new programme, because there is a lot to learn on targeting, how to narrow your targeting down to certain locations, how to drop the pins, lots to be learned on targeting. I couldn't teach you all of that in like 15 minutes. So for Dan, he would drop that pin, he would decide which locations he wanted to target. So he might have, maybe he has a lot of interest from the Newcastle town centre area, so he could either put the postcode in, NE1, which is the Newcastle town centre postcode, plus 10 kilometres. He could do Concert plus 80 kilometres if he wanted to travel that far. So for something that's quite local and quite niche, you need to narrow your sort of geographical area down. So that's another way you need to think about your targeting. Is your service local? Do you travel? Is it something that, if it's online, do you want to target the whole entire world? I wouldn't recommend that, because you will get a lot of strange foreign people responding. So if you want to target the whole world, I would split that down into English speaking countries. No disrespect to any foreign people, but if you just put it's an option to put worldwide in your sort of targeting. If you put that in, you will get a lot of people from, I think they're called like farms in like India, Pakistan. So you'll get a lot of fake likes and a lot of dead traffic. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. Split it into sort of United Kingdom, USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Dubai maybe, depending what your product is and who you want to reach. So that's another way of you to split your targeting down. Now, Dan also has another string to his bow where he does children's parties. So he needs to split his targeting down a bit more. So how Dan would do this would be, he would get the pins, drop them into the targeting for the locations he wants to offer children's parties, plus whatever the radius is. I would imagine it's the mother who will book children's parties. Can't see it being something dads would get involved in, unless they're a single dad maybe. Not sure, I don't have children, so I don't really know a lot of things about children's parties. So then he would split that down, so he would have, like, I want to target Concert plus 20 kilometres, I would like to target females only, but then he needs to go into demographics and pick out parents of children age, and then you have a list of age ranges. So you could have, I think it's, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's like 0 to 18 months. You wouldn't invite them to a children's party probably. Preschool, I think it says, preschool age. Then it's something like age 5 to 8, 8 to 10, 10 to 13. Then you probably wouldn't target children who were teenagers to go to a children's party where they play games and pass the parcel and things like that. So that's how he would narrow his targeting down. So then think about what your product is, what your services is, who do you want to reach. So broad, you've got a lot of pixel data. Facebook will do the hard work for you. So I tend to use broad targeting only for most of my ads management clients, because most of my ads management clients have been doing Facebook ads for a long time and just don't want to do them themselves anymore. They've got too much work on, they've got too many other things to do, so they would outsource that to me. So they've got a lot of pixel data. Facebook knows who their ideal clients are because it's in the pixel data. They've got sales from the websites. Facebook knows that who these people are. It's very clever. Don't know how it happens, but it's very clever. So Facebook knows how to find these people. So you don't really need to faff on with narrowing your targeting down like you used to be able to do. So lots of pixel data, broad, age range, male or female or both. That's all you have to do. If you've got a very tiny budget and you've got no pixel data at all, I would recommend narrowing it down quite a bit. So for instance, who should I pick on? Phil. Phil's a personal trainer in Teesside. So Phil's got an online program that he could sell to anyone. So Phil will have two strings to his bow, same as Dan. He'll have his physical in-person personal training clients, and he's got an online program for people with fat beer bellies who want to still drink beer and lose weight. Can I recommend Phil's program if anyone wants to join it? Not that I've got a fat beer belly though. So Phil would have two different sort of targeting audiences. So he's based in Middlesbrough, I think. So he would have Middlesbrough plus 5-6 kilometres. People who go to fitness activities are lazy and won't travel very far. He would then narrow that down to male, obviously down to male because it's a male, works mostly with men. And I probably wouldn't recommend narrowing fitness programs down to people who like fitness. So they are probably already fitness fanatics. So I probably wouldn't narrow any further down than there for Phil stuff. So location, probably the age range that he works with, and down to males. You could narrow it down a little bit further by interests. But like I said, Facebook's slowly getting rid of them. So you might not want to do that, because would you probably be following fitness groups if you are fat, lazy bloke who drinks a lot of beer? You would probably be better off targeting things like beer festivals, beer brands, Heineken. I like the craft beers, so I'm quite posh with beer. So things like Brewdog, you could narrow down to those interest groups if you wanted specifically to work with people who were into the craft ales, for instance. So that's a way for Phil to narrow his targeting down. So he could do that for his in-person stuff, if that's the demographic he wants to work with. So if he wants to work with anybody in Middlesbrough, he just doesn't put any interests in. If he wants to work with the people who were into the craft ales and the like going out and having a beer at the weekend, like me, I love craft ale, can you tell? I used to work for a craft ale company, so that's why I love craft beer. So he would then put in the different interests of different sort of breweries, craft ale brands. So things like Vocation Brewery, Beer 52, Heineken, some other beer subscription companies off the top of my head. Can't think off the top of my head. But you would just put lots of different things in. Now, a little tip, if you're using interest targeting, it's very hard to scale your campaigns. Once they become successful, you will run out of interest to target. So you will have to switch after a while once you start to see your frequency of your ad campaigns. Again, all of this stuff is covered in much more detail in my new program. Have you joined yet? £99 lifetime membership, remember? So I do cover this in a lot more detail, get quite in depth about targeting, psychology, etc., etc. So you would just take out the interest groups after time, because your frequency, once it goes over 3%-ish, is people are bored of your content, basically. They're seeing you far too much. So, like I said, I cover all these things in much more detail in my new program. So all Phil would do there, if he wanted to scale his business because he had run out of people to target by interests, he would just go up to broad, because he would probably have sufficient pixel data in his account by this time. So that obviously takes time to burn out, depending on your budget. If you only spend £5 a day and your target audience is 500,000, it'll take a while to burn them out, but you will burn them out eventually using interest targeting. And you need to keep testing different interests to see which ones work the best. So I wouldn't recommend putting in 100 interests because you don't know which of these works, which one of these interest groups is the one that's working. I recommend doing about 3 at a time. Find out what's working, get rid of the ones that don't. So you will have to keep testing them. But like I said, you'll burn out eventually if you'll not find any more interest groups. And like I said, Facebook's slowly getting rid of them. So I've got a feeling that they'll go eventually. Facebook's really, really pushing for you just to target a broad audience for them to find your ideal clients, basically. So if they're using broad only, here's a little tip. The success of your ad campaign is going to be in your copy, your creative, and your offer. Okay, so don't think that it's my target and that's not working. It's 9 out of 10 times it's going to be your copy, your creatives, or your offer. So that's a little tip from Claire. So just a little recap then. So, oh, hello Mark, I didn't even say you were there. Yes, Dan could probably target a drinks brand audience if he wanted to do sort of cocktail parties for pubs, maybe. I know he does that. He teaches cocktail mixing lessons, I think, or he used to. So he could target something like, oh, what's a big brand of alcohol? Like people who follow Smirnoff, maybe, or local gin companies, maybe. So I know Heppel Gin's quite a big brand in the northeast, isn't it? You could maybe jump on that and just target people who were into Heppel Gin, for instance, if you wanted to narrow it down a little bit. Yes. Good tip there from Mark. So just to recap then, so lots of pixel data, go broad, or if you've got a high budget, go broad. Not got a lot of budget, jump on somebody else's audience, use them, because people who follow them will like what you've got to say because you've got something similar. But remember on the training the other day, you want to stand out from your competitors. So don't forget to do some competitor research, see what they're offering, see how you can stand out from the crowd a little bit. If you've got something location based, remember you need to target the locations, then break it down from there. If you've got something which is for children, for instance, or if it's something family related, you probably want to go into the demographics and add in parents of children aged, depending on your product. Or you might want to, like I said, like Phil with his Fat Beer Belly program, he'd probably want to slot in a few sort of beer brands. So that is my take on targeting. I'll discuss this in more detail on social ads on a shoestring full program. That is hard to say after you've had too much coffee. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you're here, I know Marco's here. Thanks for tuning in, Mark. Lovely to see you again. And any questions on targeting, slot them in the group and I'll pop in and answer them. And stay tuned for another free training soon. See you later. Bye.